The Climb to Greatness, a motivational story. In a small, quiet village nestled at the foot of a towering mountain, there lived a young man named Aiden. The villagers called him the Dreamer, for he often spoke of grand adventures and distant places. But of all his dreams, one stood above the rest, to climb the great mountain that loomed over the village. Many had tried before, but none had ever reached the summit. The mountain was treacherous, with steep cliffs, fierce winds, and an ever-changing landscape that had claimed many lives. Yet Aiden's heart was set on reaching the top. From a young age, Aiden was captivated by the stories of those who had attempted the climb. He would sit for hours, listening to the elders recount tales of bravery and resilience. Despite the dangers, something about the mountain called to him. It wasn't just the challenge, it was the idea of standing at the peak, looking down at the world and knowing he had accomplished something extraordinary. Aiden knew that the climb would be difficult, but he believed that with determination and preparation, he could succeed where others had failed. For years he trained his body and mind. He spent countless hours studying the mountain, learning its terrain, and seeking advice from those who had ventured partway up. He conditioned himself to endure the harshest conditions, running up steep hills, lifting heavy stones, and fasting to strengthen his resolve. As the day of the climb approached, Aiden shared his plan with the villagers. Some admired his courage, while others scoffed at his ambition. "No one has ever made it to the top," they said. "What makes you think you can?" But Aiden was undeterred. He knew that the greatest achievements were born from the boldest dreams. On the morning of his departure, Aiden stood at the base of the mountain, the wind whispering through the trees. The summit, shrouded in clouds, seemed impossibly far away. Yet as he gazed up, he felt a surge of determination. This was his moment. He had trained for this, prepared for this, and now it was time to take the first step. The climb was harder than Aiden had imagined. The path was steep and uneven, with loose rocks and hidden crevices that threatened to send him tumbling. The air grew thin as he ascended, making each breath a struggle. But Aiden pressed on, drawing on the strength he had built over the years. Whenever he felt his resolve wavering, he reminded himself of why he was doing this, of the dream that had fueled his every action. As he climbed higher, the mountain threw everything it had at him. Storms raged, winds howled, and the temperature dropped to bone-chilling lows. There were moments when Aiden wanted to turn back, to retreat to the safety and warmth of the village. But each time he considered it, he thought of the view from the summit, of the sense of accomplishment that awaited him. The thought reignited the fire in his heart, and he continued onward. Days turned into weeks as Aiden made his way up the mountain. His body ached and his mind grew weary. Yet despite the challenges, he found small victories along the way. He discovered hidden paths, found shelter in unexpected places, and met other climbers who had ventured partway up and offered him words of encouragement. These encounters reminded him that he was not alone in his journey, that others had walked this path before him and found their own ways to persevere. One day, as Aiden neared the summit, he encountered the final obstacle, a sheer cliff that seemed impossible to scale. The rock face was smooth with few handholds, and the drop below was terrifying. For the first time, doubt crept into Aiden's mind. He had come so far, but this final challenge seemed insurmountable. He considered turning back, accepting that this was as far as he could go. But as he stood there contemplating his next move, he remembered the lessons he had learned on his journey. He remembered the strength he had built, the resilience he had cultivated, and the determination that had brought him this far. He knew that this was his defining moment, the moment that would determine whether he achieved his dream or let it slip away. Taking a deep breath, Aiden began the climb. Inch by inch, he pulled himself up the cliff, his muscles screaming in protest. The wind lashed at him, threatening to tear him from the rock. But he held on with everything he had. It was the hardest thing he had ever done, and there were moments when he thought he would fall. But he kept going, fueled by the knowledge that the summit was within reach. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Aiden reached the top of the cliff. He pulled himself over the edge, gasping for breath, and looked up. There, just a short distance away, was the summit. The clouds parted, revealing a clear blue sky, and for the first time, Aiden could see the world spread out below him. With renewed energy, he made his way to the peak. As he stood at the summit, the highest point he had ever reached, a wave of emotion washed over him. He had done it. He had accomplished what so many had thought impossible. The view from the top was breathtaking. Mountains and valleys stretching as far as the eye could see, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. But more than the view, it was the journey that filled Aiden with pride. The climb had tested him in ways he had never imagined, but it had also shown him the strength that lay within him. He had faced fear, doubt, and exhaustion, yet he had persevered. He had reached the summit not because he was stronger or more skilled than others, but because he had refused to give up. As Aiden descended the mountain, he knew that his life would never be the same. The challenges he faced in the village now seemed small in comparison to what he had overcome. He returned home with a new sense of purpose, a deeper understanding of himself, and a story that would inspire others for generations. Aiden's journey up the mountain became a legend in the village, a testament to the power of determination and the human spirit. And whenever someone doubted their ability to achieve their dreams, they would think of Aiden and the mountain, and remember that with enough courage, persistence, and belief in oneself, anything is possible.